Welcome friends, it's Caleigh Bird. Do you ever catch yourself in the middle of a project and all of a sudden turn around and your art space is completely covered, every single surface has another project on it, maybe even your bed, and you turn around and you're like, it might be time to get tidy. Yeah, well, guess what? That happens to your bird too. So today we are going to talk about how to tidy and maintain your art space. And not just the obvious, like, hey, you have a giant mess in your studio, but we're going to talk about a few little ways to maintain and prolong your art supplies so that they will last longer and longer, and you will get rid of anything that you don't need as well. So make sure you pop that subscribe button and ding the bell, because I always have your best art visit advice and fine art technique. And today we're about to get our hands dirty. Alrighty, now first things first, I highly recommend you go ahead and write a list of all the things that you know specifically that you need to get done in your studio, because there are very few things in this life as satisfying as crossing something off a list, and I am not even being sarcastic at all. A few years ago, I decided to make the switch from using a pen or pencil or dark mark to scratch things off a list to using a highlighter to highlight the things that I had finished, and that way, as my list gets complete, it looks beautiful, it's full of colors, it feels so much more rewarding than just a bunch of big dark scratches on a page. It's beautiful! I can't wait to get my list finished! Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, but the very first step after writing your list is gonna be the biggest one. In fact, I spent 2 days doing my whole maintaining and cleaning my studio, and I spent almost the entire first day just on this step. And that step is to look around and see what kinds of half-finished projects you've got sitting around your studio and go ahead and knock those out. Now, I do not mean whip out any unfinished artwork really fast, because I never emphasize rushing through artwork, but we all have those half-finished little things that just need to dot the I's and cross the T's type of thing. For me, sometimes it's just framing a few new works, or perhaps finishing up a couple of postcards. Whatever it is, we all have those things sitting around the studio that are half done. So take the time, take most of that first day, and just knock out those 3 or 4 projects that are literally laying all over your creative space and giving you limited area to work. Whew, alright, yes, step 1 done, and the lion's share is complete. Now we're going to do the most obvious one, which is just general tidying. You know where your stuff is supposed to go, and it is not splayed out all over the countertops. You need to put your like with like items, stack your things, put your paints away. Just no one knows where your stuff goes as well as you do. So get you some storage bins, whatever you need to do, put your things away where they belong. Okay, now it's time to go through some old, seldom used art supplies and get rid of anything that is no longer good or is broken or is just straight up crappy and you never use. Now, this is actually something that I did quite thoroughly about 6 months ago before I left Hawaii, because I was like, I am not paying to ship any old crappy art supplies from the Pacific to the Atlantic, so all I really had to do today was to go through some old pens and markers and stuff like that and get rid of anything that no longer works, which sounds a little tedious and boring, but I am telling you, when it's time for you to be creative and you are making a project and you go pull out your old box or drawer of art supplies and half the things you pull out don't work or are crappy, expired, whatever, that is going to be really frustrating. So take the time to go through and just get rid of anything that is no longer serving you. Get it out of your space, get the clutter away. Not only should you do this with old markers, but check out old paint tubes, check out old broken pencils, maybe see if you have any scrap paper hanging around. But make sure if you find any old brushes, hang on to those for the next step, because we are going to give those some new life. Next step is to go through any old paintbrushes you found and give them a deep clean and recondition. I conveniently made a video detailing exactly how to do this just for you last week, because I didn't want to take up too much time in this video. So look around for links, make sure you go check that out. But you can give almost all of your old janky paintbrushes brand new life, which is not only happy for your wallet, but it is very happy for this lovely thing we call Mother Earth that we want to take care of. So go take a look around. It really doesn't take that long, and most of what you need is going to just be found in your kitchen already. Okay, now this is a personal favorite of mine, probably because it's just so darn satisfying, but it goes hand in hand with reconditioning old paintbrushes and old art supplies, and that is let's squeeze your paint tubes. As weird as that sounds, it is actually quite awesome. I have this amazing thing. It is called a paint tube wringer. And if you've never seen one of these, you need to invest in one, because what this does is it squeezes and crimps your paint tubes from the end all the way up towards the top of the tube, which allows you to get every single last drop of paint out of your tube. These tube wringers aren't super cheap, but they pay for themselves in no time. I'm able to get all of the paint out of my paint tubes, and you guys know the oil paints can be a little pricey. If you don't have a tube wringer, no worries. Check around for links. One of my oldest videos that's still up has actually 3 different ways that you can do this with your paint tubes. But if you do want to grab one, I highly recommend it. Check down below for links. I've got an affiliate link for you that helps to support my channel if you buy one. It's not the same exact tube wringer, but it's another one that I'm sure is great. So yeah, this is like the most satisfying part of cleaning my studio for sure. And now it's time to bust out the big guns. That's right, grab you some WD-40, maybe a couple of screwdrivers, perhaps some pliers, whatever you need to go through and fix that squeaky chair or that wobbly leg on your table, or like me, go through and get all the little nuts and bolts on your easel. I love this easel. It's all wood and metal pieces, but that does mean that occasionally things might get a little stuck, or sometimes the screws get a little loose. So I'll just go through usually about once a year and just kind of do a little once over. Make sure all the moving parts are nice and oiled so that they can continue to be super sleek when you need them. Alrighty, and last but certainly not least, we need to do some vacuuming and dusting. And I say vacuuming instead of sweeping because I feel like a lot of times when I sweep, it can kind of tend to push dust around, make things fly up into the air. It's basically impossible to get absolutely everything. And in an art studio, especially one where you're using slow drying paint like oil paint, or resin especially, oh my gosh, that's so slow drying, dust can get on to everything you create. So I go ahead and take the time and just vacuum everything pretty much from floor to ceiling as much as I can reach, and just get all of that dust out of my studio so I don't have particles flying around in the air. All right. Hooray, hooray, look at all that clean counter space. How marvelous, right? Even got the bed, woo, all the way over there. That's right. All my to-do things done, everything tidied, everything clean. I spent about 2 full days getting everything done, and it was worth it. It is so nice. I feel like it's so much more conducive when all your paintbrushes are away, all your spaces are clear, your counters are clear. You're ready to mentally and physically get ready for your next project, because if there's one thing I've learned when I'm ready to start a project, that's not when I'm in the mood to clean up after the last one. No, I want to jump right in. So if there's one good reason to have your studio in good working order, it is so that you are ready to jump right into the next project without anything standing in the way of you and your creative expression. So thanks for being here, guys. I hope you feel good and refreshed and like you can take a big deep breath in your studio as well. I hope you learned so much. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ding the bell. I will see you next week. Thanks, guys.